Student Services 2010. Laura is a 19-year-old university freshman who desperately wants to do well in school. She works a part-time job but cannot make ends meet. One evening in which she is short of funds, she answers a personal ad online by Joe, who seeks a female student for tender moment. The pay is €100 per hour. Laura pledges to do this just once, and 3 days later she goes to a hotel room with Joe. And then her spiral begins. This French movie is based on a supposedly autobiographical story about a young and incredibly naive university student who has to resort to prostitution to pay for her studies. This movie certainly doesn't glamorize prostitution from the female perspective, as the girl's Jones and presented as decidedly unattractive, pathetic, and borderline dangerous. It kind of does, however, tend to glamorize prostitution from the male perspective, as Deborah Francois is very attractive and spend half the movie in various stages of undress. Moreover, she is sweet and naive and probably nowhere near as cynical and heart-beaten as the kind of person who would be working as a prostitute in real life. Sure, most of the potential male audience of this movie can't honestly say they are watching this purely out of social concern. That gorgeous but financially strapped French co-ed might be turning to prostitution. Viaggio Celebrity present top 5 movies like Student Services. Number 5. Young and Beautiful. While on a summer vacation with her parent in the south of France on the Mediterranean coast, 17-year-old Isabel decides to lose her virginity to a cute German teenage tourist named Felix. The experience leaves her unsatisfied. By autumn, Isabel is working as a prostitute at a high-class hotel under the name Leah. Among Isabel's clients is a 63-year-old man named George, whom she likes. He dies of a sudden heart attack while they are having love with Isabel on top. Isabel tries to resuscitate him, then leaves. In winter, the police show up and inform her mother Sylvie about Isabel being a prostitute and her involvement with George's death. Sylvie flies into a rage and repeatedly slaps Isabel before apologizing and grounding her. Isabel is forced to give a statement to the police. She says she was first approached by a man on the street to have love for money, but found it disgusting. After seeing a report about students making money as prostitutes, she set up a website, bought a second cell phone, and went into her own business. As a minor, Isabel is technically the victim and will not be charged, but her mother will keep the money that Isabel made. Sylvia takes Isabel to see a therapist to help her deal with what happened, including her guilt because she thinks she killed George. After Isabel quit prostitution, she lives a normal teenage life and works as a babysitter. In the spring, she meets Alex at a party and they start dating. They have love with Isabel on top and she has to help him out. Afterwards, she breaks up with Alex saying she does not love him. Isabel reactivates her phone SIM card and checks message for Leah from client. George's widow Alice found Leah's number in her husband's address book and requested an appointment at the hotel. When she arrived, Alice explained the situation and says she wants to see the room and meet the girl George was with when he died. She does not blame Isabel because she knew he saw other women, was ill with heart condition, and think dying while making love is a beautiful death. They go to the hotel room where George died and Alice tells Isabel to leave her clothes on and lie with her on the bed. Isabel says she needed to come here too. Alice kindly caresses Isabel's face. Isabel falls asleep. In the final shot, Isabel wakes up the next morning alone, looking more at peace. Number 4. Hamel. During her nightly escapade, Hamel searches for the difference between romance and love. Sometimes she leads, sometimes the man with whom she sleeps. The most important person in Hamel's life is Gage, her father who worked in an auction house. After the early passing of her mother, Hamel grew up with him alone. Just like Hamel, Gage is restless and isn't committed to anyone except for his daughter. This changes when Gage falls in love with the young auctioneer Sophie. Hamel is a remarkable film, like Greenway's Best for example. What you find disquieting at first, here the raunchy movie realism of Hamel's love life slowly becomes fascinating when you realize that she is actually suffering a great deal. And Hamel, the emotionally stunted tart in this 2012 Dutch release directed by Sasha Pollack, is certainly promiscuous. Like Peter Pan, the boy who wouldn't grow up, Hamel is happy leading the life of a wayward adolescent. She sleeps with just about anything that comes her way, including one unsavory character who choke and rape her, and a thin blonde Dutchman who make her save. Hamel's scolded Gage is at the root of much of her trauma, and this film is also a smart psychological study. Hannah Hoekstra as Hamel toes a fine line between hot and skanky. She bears an uncanny resemblance to Nicole Kidman. Number 3. My One Only Love. Renowned novelist George is out of inspiration to finish his next novel. One day at a cafe, a young woman named Daisy recognizes him and both start the conversation. She calls herself a whore and makes such a story of her own life that she becomes the plot for her next novel, expected of all, especially Glim, his publisher. As the writing progresses, the relationship between them becomes more and more tender. During a weekend in the countryside, they become lovers. Then, while the novel I Only Love You is about to appear, he announces to his wife that he leaves her. But the launch day of the book in Montreal, Daisy does not appear. Disarray of the writer who is enamored of her and who does not even know her address. Later, while the promotional campaign of the book in France is finished, he goes in search of his muse. But the drama strikes when he learns from the mouth of her parent that she died of pancreatic cancer and she used to be his student who always wanted to be a writer. One thing really enjoyed in this movie was its wonderful soundtrack. The composer and performer Joran made her first soundtrack for this movie and really hopes she will make other soundtrack in the future. Think the director is more of a writer than a cinematographer. I think a more original editing and photography could have enhanced this movie. Number 2. Walking the Halls. Set in California, high school senior named Caitlin is out of touch. She is not in the clique and wants to become more popular. Well, she is recruited by a trio of girls, Amber, Taylor and Kylie, to join them with a male friend who is the school security guard to go out to the club and social function to meet men. Soon Cassie learned that after making love to the man, the guy pays just like a client and call girl relationship. It hurt at first, but Cassie can't turn down good money. And mom, Holly, is getting a divorce from unfaithful and dishonest dad Christopher. Yet as most drama of high life play out, they crash for all, as the high life goes back to the honest normal way of living. Still, this film is a good watch as it teaches life lesson of trust and honesty, and it showcases a different world for young girls, as the high life is about exposure and money and love. Plenty of eye candy scene of the young girls wearing color cloth. Most memorable is seeing Taylor in a purple one and Cassie in a light green blue color one. Good original movie that's entertaining and interesting. Number 1. Bonfield, 2015. A young local girl from Aarhus lives a double life in prostitution, driven by shame and curiosity. She hires a taxi driver for a business trip to Wild and engages surprisingly in an affair with him. The state of affair develops in a wrong direction as the taxi driver discovers how the sweet girl provides for herself. Actress of the movie, Fredrik Dahl Hansen, was born on March 26, 1994 in Copenhagen, Denmark. She is an actress known for Copenhagen, Denmark and You and Me Forever. Director of the movie, Johannes Gautam Thomsen, was born on December 2, 1988 in Aarhus, Denmark. He is an actor and director known for Bonfield, Mollycam and Pin's Cafe.